The Brewers take on the Pirates, 1:05 p.m. Eastern start time in Pittsburgh. The Milwaukee Brewers are the $1.90 favorite on the road, totals 8 runs. And if you like the Pirates in an upset on their home field, they're plus $1.65 for some money line cash. The Pirates are also plus 105, catching the 1.5 on the run line. We got Tyler Anderson on the bump for Pittsburgh, Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee. Now, guys, we're 6-0 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. And the good news is we have another board member tier package pick going off here today. Now, board members also get access to every single pick that I put out on my Patreon website every single day, all the way through the end of July. We also have over 850 folks who are currently signed up and active on that Patreon site. So if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, guys, the last place Pirates, they have the second fewest wins in the National League right now. They're currently 24 games below 500, and they've gotten the W in only 16 out of 40 home games. This Pirates lineup is dead last in the majors in scoring on average per game. They score just 3.6 runs per contest. They're also on a 6-game losing streak, and they've got Tyler Anderson on the hill here today. He's just 3-8 with a 4.75 ERA and a 1.23 WHIP. Pittsburgh's taking on a red-hot Milwaukee club who won their last 11 straight, and they also held their opponents to 2 runs or less 7 times during that streak. The first-place Brewers are now 18 games above 500, and they're 8 games ahead of the second-place Cincinnati Reds in the divisional standings. Milwaukee also leads the majors in striking batters out. The Brewers are fanning 10.3 batters per 9. They also have Freddie Peralta on the bump here today. He's 7-2 with a 2.17 ERA and a .87 WHIP. The righties also struck out 122 batters in just 87 innings of work. When it comes to the total on this one, 3 out of Milwaukee's last 4 road games got over the line, 7-3 to the over in their last 10 outings at any location. Meanwhile, the Pirates have gone 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games themselves, 3-0 to the over in their last 3 at home. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers minus 1.5 and the over 8 runs. Next matchup, Padres Phillies 105 East. The San Diego Padres are minus 135 on the road, numbers 9 juice to the over. Blake Snell for San Diego, Vinny Velasquez for Philadelphia. Vinny comes into today's contest with a 3-2 record and 71 strikeouts. The Phils have also won 3 out of their last 4 contests, with 2 of those victories coming against this very San Diego squad. The Phillies are currently 24-15 at Citizens Bank Park, and their pitching staff's in the top 5 in home strikeouts. They're fanning over 10.2 batters a game in South Philly. They're taking on a Padres club who's on a 3-game losing streak and currently has a losing road record. The San Diego lineup is in the bottom half of the league in road hits. They've also gotten the W in just 14 out of 34 road games against National League opponents. Blake Snell has just 3 wins thus far in the season, 5.29 ERA and a 1.55 WHIP. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Padres saw 4 out of their last 5 road games stay under the line. Meanwhile, the Phillies went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves, 3-2 to the over in their last 5 at Citizens Bank Park. Give me the underdog Philadelphia Phillies plus $1.15 and the under 9 runs. Next matchup, Rays Blue Jays 1:07 p.m. East. The Toronto Blue Jays are minus 170, totals 9.5. Robbie Ray for Toronto, Ryan Yarbrough for Tampa Bay. Now, Yarbrough is 4-3 on the season with a 119 WHIP. Ryan Yarbrough, 119 WHIP. The lefties also struck out 70 batters. Get it out, Brock. Despite their current losing streak, Tampa's played fairly well against divisional opponents this year. They're currently 12-7 against the AL East on the road. 21-13 in their divisional games overall for the year. The Tampa lineup's in the top 3 in road scoring. Mike Zunino's hit 18 homers and knocked in 36. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is in the top 15 in the league in RBI with 54 of them. They're taking on a Blue Jays club who plays just .500 baseball at Solon Field. They've also struggled in divisional play at home. Winners of just 8 out of 19 divisional games as the home team. The Jays are in the bottom 10 in runs allowed at home, bottom 10 in hits allowed in that very same category. When it comes to the total in this one, Toronto's 22-16 to the over as the home team. Meanwhile, the Rays are 29-15 to the over when they bat first. Give me the Tampa Bay Rays plus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Cubs versus the Reds, 1:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Cincinnati Reds are minus $1.25, totals 9.5. Wade Miley for Cincinnati, Kyle Hendricks for Chicago. And as good as Hendricks has been, he does come into today's contest with a lackluster 1.27 whip. The Cubs also play their worst baseball on the road, 1-8 straight up in their last 9 road games, 16-28 overall for the year away from home as well. Chicago's in the bottom 3 in hits, and they average only 3.6 runs a game when they travel. They're taking on a Cincinnati club who's on a 3-game winning streak, and they also rank in the top 3 in home scoring. Jesse Winker's in the top 10 in the league in both batting average and OPS. The outfielders hitting .314 with 19 homers and a .966 OPS. Meanwhile, Nick Castellanos is leading the majors in batting average, top 5 in OPS. The slugger's hitting .340 with 53 ribbies and an OPS of .986. They also have Wade Miley on the mound here today, 6-4 record with a .309 ERA. The lefty's also got himself a 1.11 whip. Now, total-wise, since he's gone 11-6 to the over in their divisional home games, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus $1.25 and the over 9.5. Next ball game, it is going to be White Sox versus the Tigers, 1:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The Chicago White Sox are minus 195, numbers 9.5. Lucas Giolito for Chicago, Matt Manning for Detroit. Now, Manning comes into today's start with an .816 ERA and a 1.53 whip. The Tigers are currently 9 games below .500, and they also have a losing home record. This Detroit lineup's also in the bottom 3 in home scoring, and they're averaging nearly double-digit strikeouts at the plate a game. They're taking on a first-place Chicago club who won 5 out of their last 6 ball games. And they also find themselves 6 games ahead of the second-place Indians in the division. Now, Chicago's in the top 5 in the league in road scoring. Of course, when you're talking about this lineup, you can't forget about Timmy Anderson, who's currently in the top 20 in the league in batting average. The shortstop's currently hitting .292 with 116 total bases. Meanwhile, Jose Abreu's hit 13 homers and knocked in 57. Abreu's in the top 10 in the league in runs batted in. Now, they also have hard-throwing Lucas Giolito on the bump here today. 6 wins thus far in the year and a .384 ERA. The righty struck out 111 batters already and has a whip of just 1.10. Now, total-wise, the Tigers saw 4 out of their last 7 home games stay under the line. They're also 26-16 to the under at Comerica Park for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus 1.5 and the under 9.5. Next matchup, Astros Indians, 1:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Houston Astros are minus 150, numbers 9. Zach Greinke for Houston, Cal Quantrill for Cleveland. Now, Quantrill's thrown 50 1/3 innings this season. No wins yet for the Q-Dog. And as a matter of fact, Cal, Rich Homie Quantrill, has an ERA of .411 along with a 1.41 whip. Cleveland's on a 5-game losing streak, 2-8 straight up in their last 10. This Indians lineup also averages less than 7.4 hits a game at home. They're taking on a Houston club who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves, with all 3 of those wins coming against Cleveland. Now, the first-place Astros are 18 games above .500, and they played quality baseball on the road. They're 25-15 against American League opponents away from home. The Astros also lead the majors in runs and hits. Michael Brantley's in the top 3 in the league in batting average. The outfielder is hitting .340 with 29 extra base hits. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel is in the top 5 in batting average himself. The first baseman's hitting .326 along with 53 RBI. The Astros have, who do they have here? Zach Greinke on the bump here today. 8-2 record with a .365 ERA and a 1.15 whip. When it comes to the total on this one, Houston's gone 25-15 to the over against American League opponents on the road. Meanwhile, Cleveland's 23-16 to the over at Progressive Field. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros -150 in the over 9 runs. Next ball game, Marlins Braves 120 East. The Atlanta Braves are -175, numbers 8.5. Charlie Morton for Atlanta, Zach Thompson for Miami. Now, Thompson comes into today's start with a 1.50 ERA and a 1.00 whip. Miami's cashed in on the run line in 3 out of their last 4 road games. 19-11 against the run line in their 30 divisional games this year. And that's good for over 63% in that particular category. The Marlins are in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed. They're also giving up just 3.6 runs a game. They're taking on a Braves club who's 2 games below 500. And they also have a losing record against the NL East. This Atlanta lineup's actually in the bottom 10 in hits on average per contest. Meanwhile, their pitching is in the bottom 10 in runs allowed per game at home. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, the Braves have gone 80% to the under in their last 10 outings, 4-1 to the under in their last 5 at Truist Park. Meanwhile, the Fish have gone 70% to the under in their last 10 ball games themselves, 3-1 to the under in their last 4 on the road. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Marlins +1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next contest I have for you, a little Subway series here over Independence Day weekend. Happy 4th of July. Say it, Brock. Speak the words. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Anyway, Mets-Yankees. Game 1 of the doubleheader. That's going to be at 2:05 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The New York Yankees are -180, total 6. Garrett Cole for the Yankees, Marcus Stroman for the Mets. Stroman's got he's got himself 6 wins on the season. 2.44 ERA, 1.12 whip. The Mets are leading the majors in fewest runs allowed per contest. They're also holding their opponents to only 6.8 hits a game. They're taking on a Yankee club who lost their last 2 straight, and they also dropped 6 out of their last 7. The Yankees are in the bottom 10 in scoring, and they average nearly double-digit strikeouts at the plate at home. I'm going to lean toward the New York Mets +1.5 and the under 6 runs in Game 1. Next ball game, Twins Royals 2:10 p.m. East. The Minnesota Twins are -150, numbers 10. Kenta Maeda for Minnesota, Brad Keller for Kansas City. Now the Royals have won their last 2 straight, both victories coming against the Twins. The Royals have also got themselves a winning home record, and they're in the top 5 in home hits. Salvador Perez, top 10 in homers with 20 of them, 20 home runs. He ranks in the top 10 in that category. He's also got 167 total bases. Meanwhile, Carlos Santana's hit 13 bombs and knocked in 47. They're taking on a last-place Twins club who's 15 games below 500. And they also lost their last 5 straight. Minnesota's also struggled on the road. They've gotten the W in just 16 out of 41 road games. Their pitching staff's in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. Kenta Maeda's got just 3 wins on the year, 5.56 ERA, and a 1.55 whip. When it comes to the total on this one, Minnesota went 80% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 4-1 to the over in their last 5 on the road. Meanwhile, the Royals went 70% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals +1.5 and the over 10 runs. Next matchup, Cards, Rockies, 3:10 p.m. East. The Colorado Rockies are -160, totals 11. German Marquez for Colorado, Carlos Martinez for St. Louis. Now, Martinez is having a really bad year. Just 4.9 straight up on the season with a 6.38 ERA, and a 1.41 whip. St. Louis has gotten the W in just 18 out of 43 road games, and their lineup's in the bottom 3 in hits away from home. They're taking on a Colorado club who won 5 out of their last 6 ball games, and they've also won 30 games already on their home field. They're currently in the top 3 in the majors in both runs and hits. Ryan McMahon's hit 16 homers and touched 136 bases. The second baseman's also driven in 45 runners. Meanwhile, Raimel Tapia, he's batting .289 at the plate, which is in the top 25 in the big leagues as well. German Marquez has taken the bump this afternoon, 7-6 on the year, .362 ERA. And scoring-wise, Colorado's gone 80% to the under in their last 10, 6-0 to the under in their last 6 home games. Meanwhile, the Cards went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves, 3-0 to the under in their last 3 road games. I'm going to lean toward the Colorado Rockies -160 and the under 11 runs. Next ball game, Orioles Angels, 4:07 Eastern start time. The LA Angels are -220, numbers 10. Patty Sandoval for Los Angeles, Thomas Eshelman for Baltimore. Now the last place O's have the fewest wins in the American League. They also got the W in only 15 out of 45 road games. This Baltimore pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in both runs and hits allowed. They also have Tommy Eshelman on the bump here today. .657 ERA and a 1.70 whip. They're taking on an Angels club who won their last 3 straight. And they also got the W in 5 out of their last 6. Now this Angels lineup is in the top 5 in home scoring, top 5 in hits. Shohei Ohtani leads the majors in homers. Now, the Phenom's got 30 home runs and knocked in 66. Sho's also got an OPS of 1.067, which is 3rd in the majors. Meanwhile, Jared Walsh is in the top 10 in the league in home runs as well, top 5 in ribbies. The first baseman has hit 20 home runs and knocked in 60. LA's got Patty Sandoval on the mound here today, .389 ERA, just a couple of losses. When it comes to the number, LA's gone 60% to the over in their last 10 outings, 28-14 to the over at Angel Stadium. Meanwhile, Baltimore's gone 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels -1.5 and the over 10 runs. Next ball game, Red Sox A's, 4:07 East. The A's are -120, totals 9. James Caprillion for Oakland, Nick Pivetta for Boston. Pivetta's 6-3 with 99 strikeouts. The first place Bo Sox are 20 games over 500, and they lead the second place Rays by 4.5 games in the division. The Sox won 8 out of their last 9 ball games, and they're in the top 3 in road hits. Rafael Devers is leading the majors in RBI. The third baseman has knocked in 70 runners already and has an OPS of .936. Which is in the top 10. Devers is also in the top 10 in home runs as well. He's hit 20 homers this season already. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts is in the top 5 in batting average. Shortstop's hitting .326 with 37 extra base hits. This Boston lineup's in the top 3 in scoring and find themselves 25-15 straight up when traveling. They're taking on an Oakland squad who lost 5 out of their last 8. This Oakland lineup is also in the bottom 10 in home scoring, bottom 3 in home hits. Number-wise, Oakland's gone 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. Boston went 6-4 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox +$1 in the under 9 runs. Next ball game, Rangers Mariners, 4:10 p.m. East. The Seattle Mariners are -145, numbers 9. Chris Flexen for Seattle, Mike Foltynewicz for Texas. Now, Folty's just 2-7 on the season, .517 ERA, and a 1.34 whip. The last place Rangers are 17 games below 500. And they've gotten the W in only 30% of those road games, of their road games, The Rangers pitching staff is dead last in the majors in road hits allowed. They're taking on a Mariners club who won 3 out of their last 4 ball games. And they play their best baseball at T-Mobile Park. Seattle's currently 25-17 on their home field. And they're in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed as the home team. Chris Flexen comes into today's start with a 6-3 record and a 3.97 ERA. When it comes to the total in this one, the Mariners saw 3 out of their last 5 home games stay under the total. They're also 25-17 to the under at home for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Seattle Mariners -145 and the under 9 runs. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Giants versus the D-backs, 9:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Giants are -175 with the total at 9, juiced to the under. Anthony DeSclafani for the Giants, Caleb Smith for Arizona. Now, the D-backs went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 25-14 to the over at Chase Field this year. Meanwhile, the Giants saw their last 2 outings against Arizona get over the total of 9 runs themselves. And so if you're thinking about making a play on the total, certainly keep those factors in mind. And if you want to know who I think is going to cash in on the run line in this one, this game's actually being featured as my board member tier package pick on Patreon. And just remember, guys, we're a perfect 6-0 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on that Patreon page. So once again, if you want to find out whether we're catching the 1.5 or we're laying the 1.5 in this one, this game's being featured as my board member tier package pick on my Patreon website. And the link for that pick is in the description section below. So that, when it comes to the free lean in this one, give me the over 9 runs in that contest. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Milwaukee -1.5 over 8 runs. Philadelphia +115 under 9. Tampa Bay +1.5 over 9.5 runs. Cincinnati -1.25 over 9 on a hook. Chicago White Sox -1.5 under 9.5 runs. Houston -150 over 9. Miami +1.5 under 8 and a hook. New York Mets +1.5 and the under 6 runs in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Kansas City +1.5 over 10 runs. Colorado Rockies -1.60 under 11. LA Angels -1.5 over 10 runs. Boston +$1 under 9. Seattle -145 under 9 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 6-0 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. And if you want to access today's board member tier package pick, link for that pick is in the description section below. And with that, I'm going to lean toward the over 9 runs in the Giants D-backs contest. And with that, guys, now it's time for some shout-outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Bernard Coleman, Black77. Shout out to Makia. Shout out to Sig Sawyer, Randy Brand, Jerry Pulaski. Shout out to Jeff Roblo from Shreveport. Shout out to the South Plainfield Striker from New Jersey. Also want to give a shout out to the Victorious One. And last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my man, Living the Dream. And of course, on this July 4th, we are all living the dream here in America. I'll tell you what, I've had a great weekend, a great Independence Day weekend. Pretty much been like gambling for 48 hours straight on anything and everything, including cornhole. Oh my goodness. I bet on I'd probably say about 10 hours worth of cornhole. Now, these are my own matches, by the way. But man, I've been throwing bags all weekend long, man. I'll tell you, a lot of golf, a lot of bags, a lot of beer. Doesn't get much better than that. But anyway, guys, happy 4th of July for you. That's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. The earlier in the month you sign up, the better. You're getting really good value by signing up here early in the month on July 4th if you decide to get a package. The earlier you sign up, the better. Because if you end up getting a package here today, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of July. But most importantly here, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Free is good, especially here in the United States, man. A lot of freedom to do whatever, including bad stuff like gambling nonstop on your own cornhole matches. Doesn't matter because I've won not thousands, but hundreds of dollars betting on cornhole. I could throw the bags, baby. I'm in there. You might see me on ESPN on that cornhole championship they do in Valley Forge at the casino there. But anyway, guys, happy Sunday to you. Happy 4th of July to you. And don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.